Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've been trading well. If you can see me okay, hear me all right, put it into the chat and let me know. In today's session, hang on, what's happening? In today's session, give me a second, let's check something. All right. Somehow it's all going red. Let's do that. Okay. In today's session, what will be, does it sound okay? Let me know if it sounds okay. Just that the bars are going absolutely crazy. So in today's session, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at gold as it climbs to the upside, almost going to form a new all-time high again. And we'll look at the JOLTS jobs openings to be released tonight for the US. And tomorrow we have the Aussie CPI to be released. So we look into that as well. And all the other major currency pairs as well. Okay. So with a lot of things to look at. But first, let's go to this. Alrighty, we're back. Hey, Noachuku, how you doing? Good morning. In nice and early this time. Good morning, Jumarinas. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Christina. Good morning. Yeah, it's just that I don't know why it's suddenly so jumping so much. But good. That sounds okay. Hey, Jimmy. How you doing? And welcome, Mala, to the Elite Navigator. Good to have you with us joining on the YouTube membership. And hey, Magas, how you doing? Now, if you're on the session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. You can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button. That would help massively. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. All right. Okay, let's see. Alrighty, all good. Now, like I was saying, and I was talking in the Discord group where this morning, and I just saw something flash on my watch where there seemed to be an escalation, a further escalation in the conflict in Iran and Israel, and that's why we're seeing gold pop higher. It popped higher overnight and it continued trading higher through this morning, looking like it's going to continue trading higher right now as well. So we'll talk about that all-time high later on. And then, right, not a lot of news that we had yesterday, but looking at today, all that in the lead up to tonight at 10 p.m. GMT plus 8, where we have the US JOLTS job openings to be released. It was 8.04 million. It's expected 7.98 million. I don't think it's a big change expected. I think that employment numbers last month, you saw, went from 7.71, was 7.67, revised up to 7.71. Expected only a small increase or small change, 7.67 to 7.64. So I expected only a small change, but it jumped up to 8.04. This time around, 8.04, expecting a slight slowdown to 7.8, 7.98. It looks like employment numbers last month jumped up. It might steady across in terms of the JOLTS jobs openings tonight, and also the ADP non-farm this week, and also the NFP non-farm payrolls for this week as well. I feel like looking at all the data, looking at the numbers over the last month, employment numbers have jumped. It might sit steady across, and because anticipating that it's going to likely sit steady across on employment numbers, you're seeing the chance of a rate cut decision from the Fed Reserve on the 7th of November is now at a... Oh, sorry about that. Hang on a second. Right. Is now at a 94.9%, almost a 95% chance for a 25 basis point rate cut, with a 5.1% chance that rates will stay on hold. Most likely going to cut rates by 25 basis points. I think that employment numbers steadying, leading to a more, I wouldn't say conservative, but a more steady rate cut decision. If employment numbers had dropped stronger, had dropped more, then we're likely to have seen a potential for a bigger rate cut, a 50 basis point rate cut. No, man, what happened? Okay. Then, if employment numbers improved, then we might even have seen a increasing likelihood for no rate cuts. But I think that's very unlikely. 7th of November, it is the 29th of October right now, so we're very close to the point where we could be looking at the rate cut decision to come. That's next week, right? So 25 basis points expected. Now, with all that, I mean, that's JOLTS is going to have some volatility. It's going to bring some price movements. I don't think it's going to be massive. But at 2 a.m., we have Swiss National Bank Chairman Schlegel speaking at the Economic Outlook and Monetary Policy. Don't think it's going to do too much there. Governor McCallum speaking at the House of due to testify. House of Commons Standing Committee on Finance. Again, I don't think that's going to do too much. All the way through to tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. It's way too early. 8:30 a.m. GMT plus 8, where we have the Aussie CPI number, Aussie inflation growth number to be released. It was a 2.7%. It's expected to be released at a 2.3%. This is CPI year on year. Quarter on quarter was 1%. I don't know what's happened. Okay, 1% expected to go down or slow down to a 0.3%. It wasn't very long ago. It wasn't very long ago where we saw Aussie CPI year on year. Just at the start of the year, we were at 3 point something percent. It rose in July to a 4, and since July or since June when it was at 4.4. Let's start again. Since June, when it was a 4%, we've seen a steady drop, a steady slowdown. In July from 4 to 3.8, in August from 3.8 to 3.5, not as much as expected. And then in September from a 3.5 to a 2.7, quite a significant drop. Now this time around in October, looking to go from a 2.7 to a 2.3. It almost looks like the RBA's rates decisions have worked, right? Almost looks like the RBA's rate talks have worked. It could spur further rate cut decisions to come from the RBA, but they've talked about it. They said that it most likely will be next year. I think that, to see this drop, it's going to bring some downside onto the Aussie dollar tomorrow, especially tomorrow morning. But it might be a short-term move down. It will still, at this point, will still be relatively dependent on the movement of the dollar index. right? And then after that, through tomorrow, we have German preliminary CPI to be released, Swiss National Bank chairman speaking, and the ADP non-farm employment change together, almost together, with the GDP number to be released for the US. So a bunch of data to be released for tomorrow. We'll start off today at 10 p.m. with the JOLTS jobs openings. Okay? Good morning, Diana. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Now, with all that said, let's look into the charts. UJ making some moves. We'll have a look at that. I'm lost. What am I doing? Okay. Do that and that. All right. US yen making some moves. Let's do a quick check of that. Pushing slightly to the upside. That's moving along. Why it's pushing up? Most likely because the dollar index is pushing up slightly. So yesterday we talked about this as it was. Yesterday we were at this point here. Right? And we talked about it pushing down to that 104.20 level before retesting the high, possibly the high again. So it came down overnight. Last night it came down to 104.18, so 104.20, got to that level, that 61.8, and bounce. It looks like it's trying to bounce back up because also supported by this bullish trend line that we can see since the start of October, right? So October has been pushing up. Well, we started October down here, right? We started October at 100.18, 100.2030, right? And then it pushed up, bounced off the trend line, again on the 21st, and it's still pushing higher. I think that straightforwardly, it looks like this is playing out nicely. So let's see, the dollar index. Hey, Angel Case, how you doing? Good morning. Hey, Richard, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. All right, so here we are on the dollar index. That's played out. Take that away. It's bounced off 61.8 in the short term. Bullish trend line holding it up. And you can see a very short term trend line up there as well. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is if the dollar can break above. This is one thing that I'm watching though. That I'm looking at that, right? And I'm seeing that push, that line. I'm seeing that downward push, and then a slight channel to the upside. Just before the session, right? Just before the session, I was somewhat thinking that the dollar could break to the downside. That's what I was thinking at first. Right? It was a big push down, it's testing higher. If it doesn't break above or out of this consolidation, I was thinking that it could test that trend line and break lower. And that seems to still be the kind of the idea that I'm thinking. I don't see, as much as it's trying, I don't see that big upside push yet. JLTS is likely to be a bit steady, right? So what I'm looking at, or what I'm thinking here, is that the dollar index needs to break 104.40 to trade higher to 104.50 for 60. But what I'm looking at a possibility is if trend line broken, if bullish trend line broken, and 61.8 level and 61.8 level is broken, we could actually see DXY trade down to that 104 round number level. That's what I'm thinking, right? So if it doesn't break above this point, 104.40, if it doesn't break above this point, then I'm actually thinking that it could sit there and break that trend line down to that 104 level. Could it go lower down? Could be that's a 50% level, and then we have 61.8 down to this point here. Hey Sunil, how are you doing? So that's what I'm kind of thinking. What do you think? Does that make sense? All right, so if the dollar index it needs to break above 104.40, you know what? I'm actually thinking that it could test a little bit higher. It could test a little bit higher and then break back down. So kind of this move, that move down, and then down to this point. That kind of looks like it's more reasonable. So it might test 104. So if that's the case, I'm possibly looking at dollar index. If the bullish trend line at 61.8 is broken, okay, could retest 104.40 and then trade lower, break trend line, and so to trade down to 104. There we go. Took a while, but we finally got it. All right, that's a bit of a bullish, bearish flag. Kind of looks like it a bit to me. All right, so I'm kind of thinking that where bit of a bearish flag that way, right? So I want to see that. So that's what I'm looking at. So I want to see that test, reject, break, maybe do that, 61 again, and then test again, and then break back down to that 104 level and possibly even down to 103.80. 104 and possibly 103.80. I think 104 will be the level. It doesn't seem like there's a huge move at this point. Okay, what do you think? Does that make sense? Does that sound okay to you guys? Put it into the chat and let me know. All right, then with that, we'll look at the Kiwi. So yen is still pushing up. We look at the Kiwi first. Looked for that yesterday to test the trend line and push down. It went up, tested the trend line. It tried trading lower, but it's been sitting right along this 5975 level. It's just been sitting in this whole area. Take that away for now. It didn't push lower, so we'll take that away. Now looking at this, because dollar dropped after that, that's why we saw it drop and then push back up. Now, this is a counter trend idea, right? This is a, I don't have any news on the Kiwi. And this is the, that looks nice on the dollar index. Thanks for that, Richard. Um, this, I'm thinking, all right, so the thing is, like what we've been saying earlier, right? The Kiwi started the month up here. And it's been a big month across all the currency pairs, right? And commodities. The Kiwi started right up here for the month. And it's pushed all the way down. It started at what, 6340, and it's ended the month or ending the month along this, well, as low as 5959, and it's currently at 5978. I'm kind of thinking that could it break upwards? I think that if you have some risk capital, this could be an idea, a counter trend idea where it pushes back up, break above the trend line, break above that previous level, 6010. Give it a bit of space. Let me see this first. That's the thought. That's kind of the point that we're looking for. Take that one away. So see this move down, we have 23.6, which is trend line and that level there. So you're looking at 60, above 0.6. You'd have a stop loss, could be quite tight, about 15 pips. Take profit could get up to 37, 40 pips. I would even be looking at a 50 pip move to the upside there on the Kiwi dollar. Counter trend move needs to break this level for the upside push. Okay, so Kiwi, you all know I don't really like to tell you about counter trend trades, but this looks like an idea where we're looking at a counter trend buy at counter trend. We're looking to buy at 0.6. What am I doing? 0.60, stop loss 15, take profit 50 to the upside. Dinah says I would buy if it breaks 50. 50 is right there. I think that I would have looked at 6010. I would have looked at 6010. But because it is a counter trend, I feel like it might just go up to that level and turn back down. That's why I thought that it would be, you could take a bit of a risk to trade it up as it breaks 0.6, 611, 115. Oh, 60, 61, no, 6015. Because at this point here, if you look at this, from here to here will be a good 25, 30 pip move to the upside. So I feel like if that pushes up, that might have that momentum. All right, I wouldn't leave it a bit too late on the Kiwi. And again, counter trend, so it might, most likely might not even play out. It does need to break above, firstly, that 23.6, that trend line and that swing level. So we want to see it break above, then you'll see that move. I'll put it there as a counter trend idea. It might not play out, as shouldn't be the first thing that you look at. I think we've got a lot of other opportunities across the other currency pairs. Like for example, the Aussie dollar. All right, so Aussie dollar pushing down, broke that previous low, pushing lower. Right. Again, this took a long time to play out, so you shouldn't have got into this trade. Right now, what we're looking at, remember, tomorrow we have the Aussie CPI to be released. If it does come out at a 2.3, we're possibly going to see more downside. On September 25th, when it went from 3.5 to 2.7, September 25th, there we go. When it went from September 25th, about there, 2.5 to 3.5 to 2.7, it just dropped. I think it's around there. It just dropped slightly and then set across and had a continuation to the downside. I think there was a dollar news as well. All right, so with that, I'm looking at Aussie dollar. Likely, I feel like it's likely to sit along this level a little bit. And this is a divergence. This is a divergence between the Aussie and the Kiwi. It looks like if the Aussie at 61.8, 61.8 right there, it's broken. Okay, here we go. I don't need that now. Take that away. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that if the Aussie stays below 6580, we can see further downside on the Aussie dollar with a level at about this point here. So I know I'm moving the charts around a lot. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. So what I want to see on the Aussie is a test, reject, and push back down below 6580. Then I would be looking at 6570, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the downside. Test, reject, sell down 6570. The same as what we were talking about yesterday. 20 to 50 to the downside. This is CPI pending. All right. Makes sense. Kiwi, yes, I'm still looking for that. Aussie test reject, I'm looking for that. Good. I am happy with that. Okay. Now, with that, then we look at the pound dollar. Pound dollar had so many squiggles. When I was looking at the chart again last night, I was like, oh man, I can't believe that I did that many squiggles. I bet half of you are confused already. So let's take some of this away. It did push up. All right, it did push up, not as high as I expected, but it came close, so that didn't trigger. Although it looks like it should have, you would have rushed into it if it did. We're looking for a test higher and push down. It didn't test that resistance. It came close and then it pushed back down. Now, take that away. That's done. I'm looking at a lot of, I don't really like it because I'm looking at a lot of counter trend setups. And that's also because I'm thinking that the dollar might push back down. And that's leading to some counter trend moves. But you see that, during this period, the 24th and the 25th, when the dollar was pushing down, take the pound for example, 24th to 25th, it did push up, but it only pushed up by, that 70 something pips. Now at this point, if it does push up that 70 something, I don't feel like it's something that you should get into. All right. So we already have one counter trend trade idea there on the Kiwi dollar. I'm thinking that we want to go, okay, look, counter trend, trend following. All right. Counter trend or trend following, I think. And then this one, I'm thinking maybe a counter. So I'll look at this and I'll do the same thing, similar thing to yesterday where I'm looking at it to test that resistance and push back down again. There's no big news from the UK to be released, and that one I saw. UK shop prices ease for third month. That's shopping price index. We have a bunch of numbers here. I don't think it's going to do too much. I think I'm still going to look for that. I'm still going to look for it to test the resistance. That came to 1.3. I want to see it test this area and reject. So I'll still be looking for that same move. A test and reject at 1.3. Stop loss about 20 pips. Take profit down to 90. Trend line that way. So it's dropped. It's sitting right across. I'm looking for it to test, reject, and break back down. We talked about this yesterday where I think Diana was suggesting that it will come back down a little bit, test, and push back down again. It looks like it's doing that, but at a smaller extent. So look for that, 1.3, 20 to 90. 20 to 90. There we go. Okay. Could it sit there? Or I'm just thinking, could it sit here? Because it doesn't seem like it has that big move. And then break lower. Could you be looking for a move like 1.2955? Stop loss 20. Take profit 45 to the downside. That's a thought as well. I think it's a bit risky because it's just at this point where it could bounce back up. But that's another idea. If it doesn't push up and it sits right across, look for it to break to the downside. So it sits right across, look for it to break to the downside. And you could be looking at 1.2955 for a 20 and a 45 pip move to the downside. Okay, that is trend following. So again, Kiwi counter, Aussie trend, pound trend, Euro. I'm thinking, and we're looking at this. If it does break, so I'll take that away and that away as well. If it does break up from this level, maybe we could be looking at a counter trend move to the upside. What's my long term on this? Okay, so if it does this on the Euro, I'm thinking that it could test and, oops, what am I doing? No. Trade up. It needs to break past this point. So it needs to break 1.0840. So for the break, test, test. Might hesitate here for a little bit before upside. Something like that, that's what I'm looking at. Maybe that way, something like that. But what I'm thinking, so what essentially what I'm thinking is that if you go counter 1.0840, 1.0845, stop loss will be about 20 pips. Take profit, I wouldn't do 20, right? Take profit, I'll be looking at up there. And then I would not anticipate a bit of a hesitation there. Okay, so again, on the euro dollar will be counter trend. We'll be looking to buy at 1.0845, 20 to 85. Let's put that one in first. 1.0845, stop loss 20, take profit 85 with a hesitation at 1.0870. What am I doing? 1.0870. There we go. There we go. Look at the dollar. Look at the dollar. It's behaving almost like what I wanted. I'm anticipating. It does try and break that to the downside. Okay. There we have. That's gonna put. If that could push up, look for that counter move. Yes, I'm happy with that. Then we started off the session looking at the US yen on that move up. It's still slowly moving up. It's moving almost to plan. So yesterday we said come down, closed or fill the gap, push back up. So it came down, it's pushed back up, it's pushing. You could have got in at 153 as it came down slightly and then, or not slightly, quite a bit, 152.80, and then now pushing back up again. All right, so I am still looking on the dollar yen to push higher. Right, I am looking for the dollar yen to push higher. If you didn't get into this trade already, it's fill that gap. We have that pushing up. We have this point here, that's good. There is a little bit of a battle here happening on the US yen, right? So that big gap to the upside, or that big gap to the upside, is because of what we spoke about yesterday, the election in Japan, where they don't have the majority votes in parliament. There is a where was it? I was reading the news. Was it on Forex Factory or somewhere else? There was a news that the Ishida, the Prime Minister Ishida, was looking to have an arrangement where he would be able to push policies through despite losing the majority. I can't find it. But that uncertainty, right? The main thing is that I was reading a lot into it yesterday, and just to share with you, Ishida, Prime Minister Ishida, if I got the name right, was quite a hawkish, takes on quite a hawkish stance. You remember that couple of weeks or a month ago where he was named as the next prime minister. We saw the yen strengthen right back down, the yen against the dollar. Yen strengthened because there was anticipation that he was quite a hawkish, hawkish on the policies, right? Then, reading more into it, he was very against Kuroda-san's policies, and Kuroda was with his three arrows and going very yen weakness to try and stimulate exports and growth. So it came as a total flip, right? And because it came as a total flip, we are seeing now as he loses the majority, yen pushing to the upside. All right, let me just change something here. Okay, and we're seeing yen push to the upside. So now looking at this, I want to say that there's a lot more upside, but it's going to be choppy in this region. I feel like it's going to be choppy in this region. What you could be looking out for 153.50. I wouldn't, I wouldn't do anything in here. I would say 154. You could trade this short term, scalp it up. But I would say that the safer directional bet would be at 154. You have a tight stop at 30 pips. You have a nice take profit at 95 to the upside, right? You can look to scalp in this area, but I want to see it break and go at 154, 30 to 95 to the upside. So we talked about a rejection to buy. We've done that. Now we're looking to buy at 154, stop loss 30, take profit 95 to the upside. Okay, dollar is still trying to figure out where it wants to go. Now with that on the dollar yen, hang on, let me just check something. Okay, now I've got so many screens and computers running. Okay, now with that on the dollar yen, looking at the euro yen, right? Euro yen pushing up, that's still trading as we expect. I would still keep that view. So it didn't push as low as I expected. It did come down, it's pushing back up. So again, thinking of the euro dollar possibly pushing higher, the US yen possibly pushing higher. I would think that maybe the euro yen has that upside. I'll keep that view there at 166.20, 30 pip stop 140 to the upside. Take profit. So they were saying, so if yen is going higher, isn't euro dollar move high a difficult one? I feel like the yen's push to the upside, all right, is not so much driven by the dollar index. The yen's push to the upside at this point seems to be more yen weakness rather than yen weakness rather than dollar strength. So as the yen pushes up, it could be that the dollar weakens and the yen pushes up, and then we see the euro dollar pushing up again. So might make it a little bit difficult, but not necessarily. Okay. Hope I answered your question there, Sunil. Euro yen, I'll keep that view. If it breaks the high to push up, that's good. Okay. No worries. The pound yen didn't drop to push up. It came back to this equal low. Oh, not equal low. This was where we were yesterday. It came down, not as much. Didn't feel that gap, almost a little bit, before pushing back up again. Take that one away. And that pound dollar sitting there. Yen pushing up. Euro yen pushing up. Pound yen, I would say pushing up. I keep looking over here because I've got another platform here, and I had a yen trade. It's just closed out. I was just trying to figure out where's my yen trade. Yeah, so it hit my take profit. It's closed out already. That's a smallish trade, right? So now I'm looking at a pound yen sitting at this point. It needs to break above 199, 199.40. If you look at this, if it breaks 199.40. If it breaks 199, you have the next level here. That's 202. Then you have another level about here. And that's what we're looking at. So with that, looking at this, break above, pound yen, you'll be looking at 199.45. Stop loss, you'll be looking at a 50. Take profit, you got 120 to the upside on the pound yen. Driven up by the US yen to the upside, pound dollar possibly pushing up first before maybe coming back down. So we're looking at the pound yen pushing up first and then possibly from there turning back down. Okay. Hey Cass, how you doing? Yeah, for sure. We can check out Aussie Swiss franc shortly. Give me a moment. Okay, that's good. I'll be happy with that. Needs to break the resistance to push up. Okay. Then now with that, we look at the US Swiss franc. Fingers crossed. Could I be predicting the US Swiss franc right way for the first time in a long time? All right, so yesterday we talked about the US Swiss franc coming down, sitting there at 8650, testing, bouncing back up to push higher. So if this closes 866 above 8660, we had that play out. We want to see this push up. Let's not go too crazy first. That's a 40 pip move to the upside. That's a 20 pip stop loss. We'll look for that and then see what happens at this point here. If it breaks higher or if it shows good momentum, then you'll be looking for that next move up. Okay? It is 10 minutes to the hour close, so we're going to see that try and push up and close. The thing about it is that Bollingers are squeezing or narrowing down, might bring it to range across this point. So don't rush into it yet. It might range, but we're looking for that breakout to the upside. Okay, so 8666020 to 40. 8660 stop loss 20, take profit 40 to the upside. Then on to the US CAD on the loonie. Nothing much, right? This was where we were yesterday. This was where we were yesterday. This is where we are today. Still looking for that to break down. Still looking for that to continue lower. Exactly the same. Nothing's changed. So looking for possible retrace and reaction to 1.3850. Retrace and reaction to 1.3850. Yes, exactly. We'll keep that. Okay, then I'll put that one there as well. Now with that, then we look at the gold. All right, gold almost as planned again. And I'm really having so much fun trying to do, yes, I can tell you that it's going to push up or push down, but I like looking for that kind of moves where it goes down, up. This time it set across, it didn't push back down, and then pushing to the upside again. So I like that, trying to predict that zigzag for you guys. Gold, like I said earlier, as possible escalation, some news in escalation between Iran and Israel, between that conflict, led to this morning where we saw gold push to the upside. All right. And since it pushed to the upside, it's been sitting just below that all-time high at 27.58. It's been sitting there. It's been sitting there. I was in a trade. I was out of a trade. I'm actually, when I looked at this TSR MACD possibly crossing down, it didn't tell me to sell, right? We don't just look at the TSR MACD to tell you to sell. But when I look at it on the H4 time frame and I see this kind of flattening out, histograms are flattening out, I'm thinking maybe this looks a little bit toppish. Then I looked at it on a daily time frame and I see it looking like it's trying to cross back down. And look, the last time it crossed over, put a line there. The last time it crossed over, we saw gold push down from 2673 to as low as 2600. Right? And then again, I don't know why I keep yawning, guys. So sorry about that. The last time we saw it cross over and then really gain momentum, it only sat within this range of 25, 26, and 24.74. And again, this is on daily time frame. TSR MACD crossing over, we see gold drop from 24.57 down to 23.56. So I'm watching. And I'm thinking of that crossover, that potential crossover here on gold. And then also if we start thinking about the RSI, all right, it is within or close to that overbought region, could from here turn back down, like we saw here where it crossed over and turned back down, and you saw that push down, right? And this time when it didn't drop, you see it sitting, didn't get in that overbought region, and it's sitting right across. So I'm being very careful here in terms of the, take that away, in terms of gold right at the top. Right, gold right at the top where it looks like it might be losing a bit of steam. Not saying it's a good time to sell. I know many of you are. That's a scalping thought, but I think that you gotta be careful there. But the last time it was at this level, we saw it push right back down. Okay, so gold, I want to see what happens at 27.40, but I think that I'm thinking that we're more likely scenarios we sit right across and break up. I would like to see 2800 and break up. But the alternative is to see it sit cross down and then break back down again. Okay, so nothing on gold, nothing medium term on gold. Scalping for short term, but we're going to see what happens at this point. So gold is likely 2740 and 2760. All right. Could range between 2740 and 2760. There we go. Now, Aussie Swiss franc, we'll do that for cash. And then silver and pound CAD for Diana. Awesome. We'll do silver and pound CAD first. It's the benefit you get as an elite navigator. So silver first, not breaking, trend line, didn't break lower, sitting right across, needs to break above this point or needs to break above this point and this point. 34.30 to trade up. That's what I would be looking out for. That one we have holding it up. So it needs to break above 34. Needs to break above 34.25. And I think that it could do that way. Yeah. So Diana, I would say that break above 34.25 or 34.30 to trade up to 35. I don't think 35. I don't think that round number. I think up to 34.90, 34.89 there. Then I think that it's going to get interesting. I think gold and silver are at that level where maybe after October we could see it push right back down. Okay. Then on to pound CAD. Did you have the same view there, Diana, on the on silver? So on pound CAD, that didn't play out. Take that away. That one's sitting right across. That one's sitting right across. We have that level there. We've got that level there where it is at. Oh man, I'm yawning so much. Alright, so now what's going to happen on pound CAD? It looks like it's going to be up, test, and then back down again. That's why I think on the pound CAD, can you sell it down? I would say that I would look for a test and reject of that trend line 1.8060. Could be looking for that push back down to maybe 1.7940, around there. Your view on silver is that you're thinking to buy if it bounces back from the trend line. Yep. So yeah, as always, as always, I like looking at it move, then move, break above a level that I'll get in. Yes, I know Diana's style would be, look for it to test this level and then get in at that point. It works either ways. All good. Then, yes, we're saying pound CAD sitting there. It could sit right here and not push up. I feel like if it doesn't push up, then you'd be looking at it break that level at 1.97980. Stop loss 30, take profit 60 to the downside that way. Okay. Yeah. Then on to the Aussie Swiss franc. Remember again, we're talking about the Swiss franc possibly pushing up. We're talking about the Aussie dollar possibly pushing back down. So when we look at the Aussie, where's the Aussie Swiss franc? I lost it again. Aussie Swiss franc. It's going to be a bit choppy down there. Now at this point, we have that down here. Aussie Swiss franc. We have this point down here and this point down here. I feel like oh wait, Dinah said Aussie Swiss franc might move to a previous month low at 5606, which is down here. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. But it's pushing up now. That's a resistance level. Right, so we're looking at that. We might see it push up, test, and do that back down. Tomorrow we have Aussie CPI number, which could bring about some weakness on the Aussie dollar, pushing it back down. So this move up could be due to the Swiss franc, right? Swiss franc gaining, wow, doing very well, gaining to the upside, pulling the Aussie Swiss franc up. Then possibly tomorrow on the Aussie dollar, if it drops with the CPI data, then we could see the Aussie Swiss franc drop back down again. Maybe not so much, maybe up to this point. Yeah, about that. 1.5, oops. Like that. Then after that, we see it drop back down due to Aussie weakness. US Swiss franc made some moves finally. Absolutely. Hey BL, how you doing? Good morning. Hey Stefan. Um, Kaz and Ghosty, don't do private message. Just send the trade setup in Discord. Share it with everyone. I'm sure we'll all be looking out for some trade ideas. All right. Okay. So again, quick one. Gold sitting right there. Not too exciting. Cat sitting right there. Sweezy moving up. Oh, right after I jinxed it, it comes back down again. Pound, euro, yen pushing up. Close up my take profit. Euro, dollar pushing up, sitting right there. Pound, dollar. I want to see that move. I think I can take that one away. Aussie dollar tomorrow CPI data to be released. Might not push lower. It could be doing that kind of trade down. Just continuation to the downside. Kiwi might not have a counter trend. So if it doesn't have a counter trend, then we could be looking at it breaking down. 5955. Stop loss would be about 15. Take profit would be about 40 to the downside. Okay, so with that said, please trade well, trade safe. If you're interested, join the Elite Navigator on YouTube. That would, I realize you can't do it on iOS or something. You have to do it on a computer. So join that. If not, I'll see you all on Discord. Please trade well, trade safe. Take care now. Bye bye.